Governor, thank you so much for joining us here. It's good to be back in Michigan.
Welcome back. Glad you're here. It's a sunny day, and we got a big election tomorrow.
All right, let's jump right in. Does President Biden have a problem in Michigan?
I think in Michigan, you can always count on close elections. That's true no matter who's on the ballot, and that's why I think it's important that they are focused on Michigan, and I'm grateful that their agenda has shown problem solving and the values that we care about, and that they are making progress.
Do you think that they've been more focused in the last few weeks after you and other Democrats have sounded the alarm? And should alarm bells be going off for the Biden campaign in Michigan?
Well, I think Michigan's the kind of state you can never take for granted, and nor should you. It's the most diverse swing state in the country. We have our primary earlier than usual, and a lot of people are not accustomed to voting this early in the process here, and so reminding people that it's primary day. But we've got 9 months until this general election, and I think there's a lot of good work yet to do here.
But Governor, did you answer the question, should the Biden campaign have been more focused on Michigan earlier?
You know, the Biden campaign has been focused on Michigan, and I think that as we look at all the pressures that people are confronting, this administration has been focused on good paying jobs, leveling the playing field for people, creating opportunity. And we've benefited in the state, whether it is the broadband that is being built across Michigan or the onshoring of supply chains, good paying jobs. I think that their agenda has benefited Michigan, and they've been focused on us.
And Governor, we've been speaking with Arab American voters over the last few months. As you well know, many of them are increasingly frustrated with President Biden over his policy in the Israel-Hamas war. What if uncommitted has a strong showing in this primary?
I think there will be a sizable number of votes for uncommitted. I think that it is every person's right to make their statement about what's important to them. And we know that the Arab community, the Palestinian community, the Muslim community, those are not all one and the same. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in our Jewish community too. So people have the right to make their voices heard. At the end of the day, I am advocating that people cast an affirmative vote for Joe Biden, because anything other than that makes it more likely we see a second Trump term, and that's bad for all the communities. The
uncommitted organizers have said that they want to get at least 10,000 votes. Do you think they'll reach that?
I think that that's possible, yeah.
I think it's possible. I want to mention polling before we move on to reproductive rights. An Epic MRA poll earlier this month said that 38% of respondents had a favorable view of President Biden. 53% had a favorable view of you. How do you explain that disconnect?
You know, all I'll say is I think it's important to have data from polls. It's one point of information. But I'll also share with you, as I went into my re-election in 2022, everyone was writing my political obituary weeks before the election, and I won by almost 11 points. I'm not minimizing the seriousness of this moment and the work that needs to be done, but I do think that that is an important thing to remember. We've got a lot of work yet to do. We've got 9 months. We're going to see all sorts of issues come to the top and go to the back for people, and I think it's just important that we continue to build out this coalition and make sure that we're organized here on the ground.
What do you make of Republicans distancing themselves from the Alabama ruling now?
Well, it's laughable and it's insulting. This was an exact consequence of the Trump appointees to the United States Supreme Court. We knew that with Amy Coney Barrett's appointment, after two others before her, that Roe was very much at risk. No one should be surprised about this IVF implication. And guess what? If it goes this far, embryonic stem cell research could be next. That means people who are hoping for cures with juvenile diabetes or Alzheimer's or any of the panoply of issues that have so much hope because of embryonic stem cell research, that too is at risk. We've been making that case. Now I think people are seeing that, and the Republicans are trying to distance themselves, but we can't let them do that.
Has President Biden been making that case on reproductive rights as much as he should have?
Yes, I think this president has shown that he is absolutely supportive of a woman's ability to make her own decisions. He trusts women, he respects women, everything from the executive orders that they've issued to the work that they do to the people they nominate to the courts tell you that.
Okay. I want to switch now to some breaking news. Actually, since you've probably been at this event, the White House announced that President Biden is heading down to the border on Thursday. former President Trump will also be at a different part of the border on Thursday. What do you make of that, and has the Biden administration taken the issue of immigration seriously enough?
You know, the Biden administration actually put a solution on the table, and the Republican Congress walked away from it. The best solution that has been offered in decades was on the table, and the Republicans walked away. I think it is abhorrent that you've got a political party in this country that is more interested in scoring political points than actually solving a problem that this nation needs solved. We need a federal, bipartisan, congressional solution, and those guys should, instead of campaigning on it, should get back to work and solve it.
Should the nation tighten asylum laws?
I believe that it is important for us to have a process that all are required to go through, that ensures that whomever is coming to this country has a path, but that it is strict and we don't have this unmitigated flow.
Did Democrats wait too long to seize on the immigration issue?
You know what, I am not going to be able to answer that question other than to say everyone has waited too long. This is a problem that has vexed our country for a long, long time. I am proud that President Biden was the one that put a real solution on the table, and we need to pressure Congress, both parties, to get to that table and get it done.
I'm sure you're well versed in these polls, but according to an NBC News poll, 3/4 of voters, including half of Democrats, have concerns about the president's mental and physical ability to do the job. What do you say to voters who are concerned about the president's age?
You know what, I say that this president has gotten more accomplished in 4 years than most of his predecessors. Jobs, you know, you see what's happening with battery plants. We've got 5 being built in Michigan. This is a massive step forward that is going to secure the long-term economy, not just for Michiganders, for Americans everywhere. He's got an incredible amount of accomplishments done, and I have every confidence in his ability to serve out a full second term.
What did you make of the Hur report?
Well, I think it was, I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you a prosecutor, their expertise is in whether or not something should be prosecuted. His conclusion was that it wasn't, and it shouldn't be, and that's not happening because of that report. Anything else that came from it was not within his scope of expertise, and it feels very clearly political.
Clearly political. When you read that description that President Biden, you know, put himself forward or would put himself forward to a jury as an elderly man with a poor memory, what went through your head?
I was shocked because it was totally inappropriate and uncommon for any sort of a special counsel report like that. As a former prosecutor, it was way out of the bounds, way outside of his expertise, and I think undermines all of our confidence in a system that should be above reproach.
Switching quickly to the other primary here tomorrow, should Nikki Haley remain in this race?
I'm not weighing in on the Republican side.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Can President Biden win the presidency without winning Michigan?
You know what? Michigan is generally on the road to the White House. I think everyone should be focused on what's happening. They should listen to Michiganders. They should look at our playbook here in Michigan. And there's one person who's doing that, and that's President Joe Biden.
One last question, though. I asked you about the Arab American vote. Is the president and his campaign taking that seriously enough? As you well know, the president won Michigan by just 150,000 votes or so. Arab Americans could make the difference here, and they are so frustrated with this policy. Have you spoken to the president directly about that?
I have spoken with the president. I've spoken with a lot of people about it, and I keep very close with our Arab American community. I understand that, you know, there is a lot of different feelings on this, and strong ones, and pain that people are feeling. And yet I also know that we have a president who is working 24/7 to try to bring calm to the region and peace to the region. I know that we have a president who cares about Michigan and Michiganders and all the people who call this country home. He is, I think, working incredibly hard to resolve what is happening. He's paying attention, and I think that's the most important thing that you can ask for from a president.
What does the president need to do to win Michigan this November?
I think continue to do what he's doing, staying focused on solving problems and the dinner table issues. People need to know that in this country, if you work hard, you're going to be able to get ahead. You can get a good job that pays you well. You can be in a country where your rights are respected, your bodily autonomy and your right to participate in an election in a democracy. All of these things are at risk in this upcoming election, and that's why I'm so proud to support President Biden.
And finally, Governor, you've heard the talk and you've been asked about it before. What do you say to those people within the Democratic Party who would like a candidate, a younger candidate such as yourself, to replace President Biden?
I would say the train's out of the station, get on board.
Thank you very much, Governor. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.